Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am MAGAY Imba from Reporter 15. I will be discussing our topic together with my partner, Siti Aina Magay, with the topic of the Assure model. So, what is Assure model? Assure model is a procedural guide for planning and delivering instructions that integrates technology and media into the teaching process, which is, it also refers to a systematic approach of writing lesson plans that helps teachers in organizing instructional procedures. Assure is an instructional design model has the goal of producing more effective teaching and learning. Assure is an acronym that stands for the various steps in the model. The following is a breakdown of each step. A stands for Analyzed Learner Characteristic. S stands for State Objectives. And Second S stands for Select, Modify, or Design Materials. U stands for Utilize Materials. R stands for Require Learner. And Require Learner Response, rather. E stands for Evaluation. And A, Analyze Learner Characteristics. So, the first step in the process is that the teacher should analyze the attributes of her learners. There should be a focus on those learner characteristics which are associated with the learning outcomes desired. So, kailangan alamin ng teacher kung ano ang capability at characteristic and background ng students para doon mag-base kung ano ang ituturo ng isang teacher na naaayon sa kakayahan ng isang learners. When you determine the character of the learners, it will guide you in choosing specific strategies and resources to aid the learning process. The analysis if your learners should include the general attributes of your learners such as age, academic abilities, gender, interests, etc. Prior competencies, learning styles such as auditory, visual, and tactile. S. State standards and objectives. After the analysis of the learner attributes, the teacher must state standards and objectives for the learning module. The objective can be used in assessing the success of the students, perhaps for the grading process. Standard need to know by the end of school year, while the objectives are the content and skills students need to know by the end of a lesson. The mark of a good set learning objectives is conformity to the ABCDs of well-started learning objectives. They are follow: audience, behavior, conditions, and degree. So, audience, for whom is the objective intended? Behavior, what is the behavior or performance to be demonstrated? Conditions, what are the conditions under which the behavior or performance will be observed? Degree, to what degree will the knowledge or skills be mastered? So, the objective statement should be formulated with verbs that pinpoint the learning objective. Remember that assessment can only be based on your learner's behavior. A learner may know some material backwards and forwards but may not be able to perform well on a test. So, let's proceed to the second S. The select strategies, technology, media, and materials. The second S in the acronym stands for yung select strategies, technology, media, and materials. First, you should figure out which delivery method will be best for your instruction. For instance, what proportion of your instruction will be instructor-centered and what proportion of will be student-centered. The first of these are strategies such as lecture, demonstration, or showing a video kung anong strategies ba ang gagamitin ng teacher sa kanyang pagdidiscuss para maintindihan siya ng kanyang mga learners. So the second are strategies such as group discussion or cooperative group work. This second strategies is pagbigay sa kanila ng group discussion like assessment, activity para malaman ng teacher kung meron bang natutunan ang mga students sa kanyang teaching strategies, sa kanyang mga topic na tinuturo, kung effective ba yung strategies ng teacher na yon. So, an effective teacher is merely a facilitator to the process of learning. So, the rest will be discussed by my partner, which is CTI na Magay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuhu. I am CTI na Magay, and I will be continuing about the discussion about the Assure model. So, Mr. Baina already tackled the acronym ESNS, which stands for the Assure. So, I will be continuing the lesson. So, next letter is the letter U. So, letter U, which stands for Utilize Technology, Media, and Materials. This step in the Assure process concerns on making a plan as to how you will utilize the technology, media, and materials that you have selected. So, as with all of the instructional steps, you must make sure that your plans contribute towards producing the objectives that you have laid down. It is important to follow the 5 P's, letter P, process to achieve this utilization of technology, media, and in materials. So first achieve that you need to do is to preview the technology, media, and materials. This means that it is important to plan ahead of time just how you're going to use them. It's good to do a dry run of your lessons before you actually teach it. Make sure that the whole lessons will go smoothly and seamlessly. So, next step is prepare the technology, media, and materials. You need to gather together all of the things that you will need to teach your lessons. They must be working properly. So, for example, if you're making a PowerPoint presentation, then you'll need to create the text and graphic for each screen. It should be readable for all the audience or the students. Another one is prepare the environment, your classroom environment. There is some minimal preparation required to set up the learning environment. Simple things like making sure that you have enough desks are important. Also, if you have control over the situation, you should make sure that there are no sources of noise that will disturb the students. So that is very important. So next step is to prepare the learners or the students who will be you teaching. First is you need to clarify or inform the learners as to what are the learning objectives are. This will help the learners create a mental map of what they need to absorb. Next is it is important to tell the students how they will be assessed. You need to tell them what their assignments will be, how they will be graded, if there are tests. Also, you should explain to the students what are the benefits of learning that material are. Next is to provide a learning experience. You then actually carry out the lessons. There is where all of your planning takes effect. You should be prepared to carry out the lessons with every prior step of the process in mind. This will ensure your success as a teacher. So that's all the things that you need to achieve in the letter U, or utilization of technology. Next is the letter R. It which means that require learner participation. This step actually belongs to the earlier steps. It requires that you make plans on how you're going to actively engage your students in the material that you are teaching. This needs to be figured out both at the class level and also at the individual level. The most basic step that you can take is requiring a participation of the students in class discussion. A more sophisticated approach would require that students prepare questions and comments at home to bring into the class. You might try also allowing individual students to lead classes or discussion in the style of a seminar. Beyond this, you need to plan exactly how the students will participate in the learning process, generally speaking. So how will they learn the information and techniques included in the lesson? These plans need to be more specific than just saying that they will listen and absorb that material. Maybe you will encourage a specific kind of note taking or other learning strategies. This promotes the collaborative learning in the students. After the R in the assure is the letter E for it to be completed. Letter E means evaluate and revise. The final step in the assure is this. It is just as crucial as all of others. In this step, you evaluate the impact of teaching on the students' learning. This includes the evaluation of your teaching strategies and technology, media, and materials that you use. The following questions are useful to ask during the evaluation. For example, did your lessons meet the objectives that you have planned, or how will you determine that the students reach the objectives? Also, is your way of assessing the students in line with your learning objectives, or can this lesson be improved? How can you? So, how are you going to assess the weaknesses in your presentation? So, the final step in your evaluation should focus on feedback from your students. Like, was their experience positive overall? So, though they feel that they have reached your objectives as their teacher and also their own personal objectives. So, how will you determine whether or not your performance was effective? In conclusion, consequently, the assure process is really just a matter of common sense. Common sense. However, it is good to follow a regimented guide to improve your teaching technique. Any effective teacher knows that perfection of their technique does not come overnight, and also there is always a room for improvement. So by following the Assure process, you will be sure to improve your teaching for many years to come. So another question that we need to uh, importantly know in this model is, why do we need to use this Assure model? Is it helpful for us as a future educator? Yes, the Assure model is a fantastic way to plan effective. It is a media-rich lessons. So Assure is based on the Robert Gaines events of instruction, the model of constructivism based. In other words, it is a framework that assume a passive learners will not learn at their best. Like, learners must be actively participating on their own and also interacting with their environment and peers. So this model also recognizes the different learning styles of all, because children have different learning styles, because not all have same capacity. So thank you all for listening. This will be the end of my report, and thank you.